there will be unity, and this great city can bloom and blossom, and we can all work together for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Ms. Walker, you want to call the roll?
Honorable Mayor Fowler, Honorable Councilman Bilbrey,
Present.
Honorable Councilman Williams,
Present.
Honorable Councilwoman Hawkins,
Present.
Honorable Vice Mayor Hill.
Present. We'll get right into the agenda. Let's consider the approval of the agenda. You got the minutes as well. We can do a joint motion if you also deem it appropriate. Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Ms. Walker?
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Williams, Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill.
Yes. I'll take that as a joint motion, and we'll move on to item number 3. Consider approval to suspend the reading of ordinance 7:15:25, 7:16:25, and 7:17:25. We'll get into those specifics here in a minute. This is just to suspend the reading. Do I have a motion and a second?
Make a motion.
Motion and a second. Ms. Walker?
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Williams, Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill.
Yes. Item number 4, consider approving, let me start over. Item number 4, consider approval of first reading of ordinance 7:15-25. Mr. Morrison, want to speak to that, or Councilman Williams, somebody?
Either one. You want this or you want me to do it? Okay. All right. This is an ordinance to adopt procedures for appointment of department directors. So this is reverting back to personnel rules and regulations that were previously in place, stating that Section 1402 of the Allgood Municipal Code is amended by deleting paragraph 5 and replacing with the following language. Item 5 will now read, to act as personnel officer in matters of employment, dismissal, promotion, or demotion of any employee, and to cause personnel files to be kept on all employees.
Well, brought it up. The reason I like it the way it used to be, that's the way any other group or organization that I represented, did the hiring and firing and the board.
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance 7:15:25. It's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, Ms. Walker?
Honorable Bilbrey,
No.
Honorable Williams,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins,
No.
Vice Mayor Hill.
Yes. Motion does not pass for lack of majority. Excuse me. Thank you. Item number 5. Consider approval of first reading of ordinance 7:16:25, amending the 24-25 budget passed by ordinance 7:10:24. Mr. Morrison, Ms. Hawkins, somebody?
This was a request from Ms. Hawkins to do a $7,500 across the board annual raise for full-time employees. While we were doing this, I went ahead and added in a correction to retirement where the state sent our actuarial number, and we found out that how we had calculated it did not match what they had sent us, and so they are going to correct the language next year. This was the first year we had got an actuarial data number, so we were off just a little bit. We were showing 11%. They actually meant it to be 14%. So that correction is in here. So this is a salary adjustment of $7,500, including taxes and retirement. The general fund would be hit for $180,182, and the utility fund would take a hit of $37,552. This is for a half a year of those adjustments. This would be an hourly increase of about $3.61 an hour for 40-hour employee, $3.30 something an hour for the police department employees because they do work an 86-hour biweekly schedule. It's ranged up and down. This last year, we gave $1 an hour across the board for full time. The year before, I've sent you all those numbers today. I've got them in an email. I can look back. But last year, it was $1 an hour across the board.
It'll follow us too.
Yes.
Expect to give a pay raise, new budget.
It's up to you all. It's out right now, so that could be given or not given based on what you all decide to do with the new budget.
How's our pay scale with other communities?
It's up and down depending on which positions you look at. Some are below, some are over, some are right on par. I sent you all the data, including Putnam County, Cookeville, and then that M
So
of that as well.
So one of my biggest questions, and I'll just take this as an opportunity, just make sure you're eating this mic when you're talking into it. I would just make sure everyone can hear us well. One of my big questions is why now? You know, we've got a process of reviewing all staff compensation. That process happens at budget time, where we stop and we say, okay, what's appropriate and what's should we be making changes? And that process happens annually, and it's a good process. We've got a budget already approved. We're right in the middle of the 24-25 budget, and we're making this change. So basically, we're looking at our citizens and we're saying, hey, we've got this budget approved, and we're living by it, and now we're going to change it. And we're going to go over it by, I think you just said $180,000 from the general fund. We're going to take from the general fund to pay this, and then we're going to pay. Then you said, I think, $37,000 from
Utility.
Utility. Thank you. And so we're basically, I think we need to be able to look to the citizens and say, this is the reason why we did it. We felt we had the need to do it in the here and now, and blow that budget. Or not, probably not a good word, but to exceed the budget that we have approved, and this is the basis for it. I've not yet heard that basis for it. Why now?
Because we got policemen quitting, going to higher paying jobs department right now, and we've got these guys out here in the cold working. We're sitting in the heat. They're out here in the cold. We're sitting in the air conditioning when they're out, and the prices are going up so much that it's hard for them to.
So turnover is the driving basis for doing it in the here and now.
And we've got a good bunch of employees.
We do. I'm not doubting that whatsoever.
I just when one of my employees
Here,
wants to
eat the
leave,
mic.
when one of my employees wants to leave and they're bettering themselves, I have no problem with that. I'll never turn them down to better themselves. But you can't change the whole thing just because one person is going to do better. And threats, it's not a threat, but it's just they'll go around to someplace else. The other place, if we give a raise, the other place gets a raise, and it just comes back around in just a little while. If that's the reason. But, they're good workers. Don't get me wrong on that. It's just we're changing the system.
But they are quitting, and they are going places, and we have got good ones. And when you got to bring others in, and they won't, half of them don't even.
How many vacancies do we have right now, Keith?
We have 2 in parks, 1 in public works, and 1 at the PD, and 1 school crossing guard. They don't include it because that's part-time. But right now we have, 1. So yeah, 1's leaving for medical. Yeah, 2 were on probation and released. The police officer, the last one that left for a higher paying job.
Police officer, main one.
Yeah, we had a previous public works that left for a higher paying job, but we'd already replaced him. So
And we brought this up. We discussed briefly last night. So the new budget, we're in budget season. We're starting the new 25, or just looking at the 25-26 budget. Are you contemplating any additional raises in the 25-26 budget and or the 26-27 budget?
This raise is in there already because I wasn't sure if you all were going to go with it or not. So that number is in there. So even if you don't pass
No
it tonight-
additional money,
Yeah,
so.
no additional. Just what this would have put in.
No raise.
No, and if you take this out, then I would pull that back out.
We'd want to. Another question. Where did $7,500 come from? I mean, $75 across the board, it's a lot. What's the basis of the $7,500? Typically, we look at, cost of living. We look at the, price of the world. Where did $7,500 come from? Where was this number derived from?
The original request was for $15,000 for PD employees. I suggested we cut that in half so that we could do that across the board and not leave out the other employees that work here, so we didn't create animosity in the other departments. So that was where that came from.
It's 3%.
Ranges from
What's
eight.
the bottom?
The lowest, about a $15 an hour employee, 17 is about almost 20%, and then when you get towards the top, it's cutting down to 7-8%. The range is somewhere between 8 and 18%, depending on how much they make per hour starting out.
Pretty high for yearly raise. Been given 1, 2 at the most. percent.
It's ranged. I can give you.
Get a breakdown.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, we did a staggered scale. So last year, we did $1 across the hour, $1 an hour across the board for all full time. 23 and 24, we did a staggered scale. If an employee made $15 to $20.99, they got $2 an hour. If they made $21 to $30.99, they made $1.75 an hour extra. If they were in the $31 to $40.99, it was $1.50 an hour. And if they were 41 and up, they got $1.25 an hour. The majority of the employees got either $2 or $1.75, and then we had 2 employees get $1.25 an hour. Most of them got the $2. In 22-23 and 21-22, we crossed the board plus $2 per hour scale adjustment. In 21-22, we did 1.3% across the board. In 2021, we did 1.6 for salaried employees, and then a scale adjustment for our hourly ranging from 15 cents to $1.94 an hour.
And if we've got it, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for that park, then we've got to pay the employees.
Wishing the park. So,
We're going to.
what does the county give a stipend or something like $500 or something one time?
Different places do different things. Some do longevity bonuses, so you get a once-a-year longevity bonus. Now we do a $300 Christmas bonus. Some of them do longevity based on how long they've been there. Our pay scale is running 50 cents an hour for non-salaried employees, and then there's top outs. And I don't have that with me tonight, but I've got that I can give you. So.
I think Councilman Williams brings up a good point. The range, I'm struggling with some people getting an 8% raise, some people getting a 20% raise. These are big numbers. Is that fair? Is that fair? I'm not against giving a raise, getting healthy, or even looking at market and adjustments. If the market for one particular, for this group versus that, I mean, not against it. But is a flat rate across the board the appropriate vehicle? I'm struggling with that. Just a comment. And this is an ordinance too, so this would need 2 readings, correct, Mr. Morrison?
This would be first reading. Second reading would be final and public hearing if it goes that far.
This would be one of those times, me personally, I would love to hear some citizen feedback on this. This is significant expenditure, and I'm not opening it up to conversation, but that happens at the end of this meeting, and I'm sure this discussion will spawn some more discussions, and the whole reason why we have 2 readings. But I would love to hear, or even between meetings, if they want to get with Mr. Morrison and relay thoughts and concerns one way or the other. I'd love to hear them. The whole council would love to hear them.
And I'm not against a raise. It's just how we're doing it. It's what I have a problem with. Nobody's getting that kind of government using a business type thing. Nobody's getting that kind of raises. I'm not questioning what kind of jobs everybody's doing at all. And it is cold. So we're already at the point of somebody.
Yeah, we need a motion.
Need a motion and a second. One way or the other. Or make a motion to table. Or it fails without a motion. Motion to approve on first reading is what you put on the agenda.
Make a motion.
Ms. Hawkins, first motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bilbrey, second. Ms. Walker, or I should ask, any other discussions? Hearing none. Ms. Walker.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Williams,
No.
Honorable Hawkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill.
No. Motion fails without majority. I would say, as of just, this is me, I'm totally for looking at an adjustment. I don't think a flat rate across the board is the right mechanism. I'd love to continue the discussions as to what, this happens annually, and it happens about this time of year anyways, to look at what is the appropriate vehicle? What is it, a percentage base? Is it flat rate? I don't think a flat rate. I don't think a flat rate is the way. I agree with with Councilman Williams.
I agree with everything he just said. I'm not against it. It's just the way we're doing it.
Yeah, it fails.
Moving on, agenda item number 6, consider approval of first reading ordinance 717-25 to amend personnel rules and regulations for vehicle markings. Chief?
Yeah, that's the original ordinance. Says that all city vehicles are to be marked. The problem with that is we're kind of unique. We kind of need some unmarked vehicles in order to conduct surveillances and other things. So that's why I asked for the change in the ordinance.
Chief, Allgood's pretty small. What kind of
Allgood-
vehicle are you gonna get? I mean, would
We've
you
got,
rent one? Everybody in town will know it's the,
you just have to switch them up. We've
would you
got,
rent one? I mean, rent a
if you'll
car?
put it in the budget, we will.
It seems like the cheapest way.
Well,
I think in Allgood, being obscene is the main thing.
well,
Not for a whole lot of cars, it's not marked.
I agree to a degree. However, there are certain things that we do. For instance, the other day we had a high-risk search warrant that we did. We had to do it early in the morning and use marked vehicles, but we had to park them a little ways away. in order to get to the house to serve their warrant.
I guess my question is, you gonna get a black one that looks just like all the rest, or what? Are you gonna get a dark, a
We
Chrysler
can utilize
Imperial
some of the
with
ones we
one
have
in?
now. It's simply just to have a few that we can unmark and utilize. It's up to you. It's your decision to make, but it is a tool that we use.
I'm just saying, it's an unmarked car, we don't need another black one that looks just like the regular.
Who knows? Maybe that may slow them down anyway.
Maybe a white one, if nothing else.
You'd be surprised though at the ones that don't pay no attention.
That's all I got.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Motion and second been made. Hearing none. Ms. Walker.
Honorable Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Williams.
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill.
Yes. Item number 6 passes. Item number 7, consider approval to surplus and trade 2 steam washers for replacement. Mr. Bradshaw.
Yeah, these washers, one is we're having to repair it all the time, and they're both over 20 years old. And one, it hasn't been used in, I'd say, probably 15 years. And it's just, time for an upgrade. We're just going to use them as a trade-in.
Anticipated expense? How much are we looking at?
We found one for $6,000.
We budgeted this too, correct? Did we, Mr. Morrison?
No, this is just operational money. It'll be split between water, sewer, and public works. So we've got the money to cover this. We also needed to add the 2 handheld meter reader stations. We are replacing those with a tablet form that will run the software. Wireless connection. It will be much more efficient, much cheaper. If something happens and the handhelds are getting old and starting to act up, so we're just asking for those to be added to this as surplus too.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
So we're in the motion, you wanna add those?
I do.
So moved.
Reader devices that will surplus and sell somewhere.
So moved.
Okay, that's motion has been made. Is there second? That's a second motion to surplus the 2 steam washers and 2 handheld meter readers. Any other discussion? Ms. Walker.
Honorable Bilbrey.
Yes.
Honorable Williams.
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 8, consider approval to move surplus funds from checking to interest accounts. Mr. Morrison.
So we have checking accounts at First National Bank, also at First Freedom Bank and Wilson Bank. Our First Freedom, our accounts are gaining 4.9% interest rate. So what I'm asking you to do is move from general fund checking and ARP funds $1.5 million to First Freedom so that we can gain that 4.9%, and from the utility fund checking $1,775,000. And that will move those to that higher interest rate account. For the cemetery fund at First National Bank, I'm asking that we move $150,000 out of checking and move it to a 9-month CD with First National Bank. And State Street Aid, I'm asking that we move $300,000 from checking to a 9-month CD with First National Bank. The 2 CDs will gain 4.25%. And those accounts are already at First National. I don't have a cemetery or a street account at First Freedom.
So on Cemetery and State Street,
I'm just going to move.
You're just
some
moving in the same
funds
bank.
from checking to a CD 9-month with First National. They're earning 4.25%. So we're just going to try to make a little more money on them.
So it's just housekeeping.
It's just housekeeping to get better interest. We're gaining about $20,000 a month just on general fund interest, so this should move us up. Total funds about another $18,000 to $20,000, I think.
I'll make the motion to move.
Second.
Motion and second to move $1.5 million from First Freedom of ARP accounts and 1.775 million in utility to First Freedom at for 4.9, and then cemetery and State Street to move 150 and 300 into a CD at the same bank. Any other discussion? There's a first and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Walker.
Honorable Bilbrey,
Yes.
Honorable Williams,
Yes.
Honorable Hawkins, Vice Mayor Hill.
Yes. That motion carries. Nothing else on the agenda. Mr. Morrison, report.
City Hall will be closed January 20th for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Want to commend our staff. Everybody worked really hard and put keeping streets clear, City Hall sidewalks clear. Everybody worked really hard and put in a lot of hours, and so we appreciate all of our staff, PD and fire, for keeping everybody safe with the severe weather. So we appreciate everybody for putting in all the time and all the hard work out in the weather. Department heads.
Oh, you want me to go first? We've answered approximately 636 different calls, 29 separate offenses. Had 4 domestic calls, 1 death investigation, 3 DUIs, various traffic. Other than that, we haven't had anything.
So we took delivery of 800 feet of 1 3/4 hose. This will replace the 1.5 hose that was on our older engine. This will greatly improve our capabilities, get more water to fires. Our extrication tools, we got those in. They are on the trucks. They're in service now. And see here, last year we responded to just over 545 incidents, ranging from fires to medical calls to motor vehicle wrecks.
Very good. Thank you. How many fire? You said 500 and how many?
It's right at 545. I think maybe 547 was.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, department heads.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Dan?
Uh-oh.
Just to get my checklist off, I know it's Christmas and holidays. I know nothing happened, but I gotta ask. Who is it? What court will that show?
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ray. Okay, we're at that point in the meeting where we hear from citizens or any delegations that want to get up and speak their mind. Please get up, give me your name and address, and sir, yes, sir. I think that's fine. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll close that portion. Mr. Morrison, I'm just going to ask, we had some citizens who were concerned about the traffic of some of the construction vehicles. Has that been, can you give just any kind of updates? They would probably appreciate hearing.
died off for Christmas. It's picked back up this week. So
I'm sure. I'm sure.
it's not as severe as it was before the holiday. Some of the traffic is going out Dry Valley and going to the Cookville quarries. I don't know exactly how much. I haven't sat out there and counted trucks. But I know some of it is going that way. There are quite a few trucks still coming through town. We've had some calls and complaints this week, again, about those. And so I think I've had about 2 calls. So they are still coming through, but not as severely as they were right before the holiday. So
Very good.
I think they told me 2 weeks.
they're building a retaining wall. So once it goes up, they'll finish filling in. So they're
Wow.
moving on.
Wow.
Bob's staying after them all the time.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Okay, hearing no other business before the council, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Next meeting is February 11th. We'll see everyone then. Thank you all. Woohoo! Did I do my best playing Lisa?
You did well.